This one's going to be an integer, okay, and we'll allow nulls on this, although I don't really think we should, but we'll do it just so that in case something does not get submitted, it won't blow up. What'll happen is, though, the data integrity will be bad, and then nothing will match up, so that'll be bad. But we can work through that. Okay, so we've got the book lookup ID. The next thing we want to put in there is the reviewer lookup ID. This one's going to be integer as well. We'll allow null. Kind of don't want to do that, but don't want it to blow up. And then the last one that we're going to put in there is going to be date. Is going to be date. It'll be date format, and we'll allow null on that as well. Alright, so let's go ahead and click OK to that. We'll save it. Okay, so that's been created. So let's review the stuff we've got so far. We've got an author table, we have a books table, we have a reviewers table, and we have a reviews table. Let's just make sure each table looks the way we want it to first. Okay, so I'm just going to click on author, just look at the structure on it. We have author ID and author name, that looks fine. Okay, let's click on the books table. We're going to check it out really quickly. We've got book ID, book title, book author ID, and the book pub date. Okay, so that looks good as well. The reviewers table is just pretty simple. It's just going to be reviewer ID and reviewer name. Okay, and then lastly, the reviews table, the one that we just made. When we go back and take a peek at it, we've got reviewer ID, the actual review itself, 300 character limit. That's pretty decent. We have the book lookup ID, the reviewer lookup ID, and then the date at which we actually want this thing to run for. Okay, so that looks pretty good so far. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to go through and run some simple select statements to see what we've got in each table. I think only one table has data, so it should be fairly quick. So I'm going to click back over to SQL here. Okay. All right. So I'm going to take that line out. So let's select star from author. Okay, and we'll click go. And there's nothing in the author table. It says 0 rows. Okay. The next thing we can do is we can select star from books and see what's in the books table. And there's nothing there either. Let's go to the reviewers table. And what do we have here? We've got one reviewer. We've got Bubba in the reviewers table. Okay. Let's edit this SQL really quickly. And sometimes when you click edit SQL, it opens it up in a new window, which is a little distracting, but it's not bad. And then lastly, select star from reviewers table. Okay. We'll click go on that, and what it does is it refreshes it in the background and it minimizes your query window. So let me get that query window back up. It should be this one right here. There we go. Okay, so there's the query window back, and now what I want to do is actually get rid of the query window. We're going to just go through and insert some data just so we have something to work with. Okay. Alright, so the first thing to do is just go to our author table, and I'm just going to make up some authors. This is just for having fun here. So let's click on the insert button to insert a few rows into the author table, and it'll let me insert 2 rows at a time if I want to. It's kind of distracting. It gives all this stuff, but really here's the form to enter in your information. And know that this first field is an ID field, and it's going to be automatically populated, so I really don't care about what happens there. It's going to automatically happen. So I'm just going to type in an author's name. So let's say Harold James. So James Harold is one of our authors, and Bobo, let's see, Andy Bobo is the other author. So we're going to go ahead and click go. So it should have inserted 2 rows. Let's just browse the table real quick and make sure those 2 rows are in there. Okay, yes, they are. Okay, good deal. Let's insert 2 more authors really quickly here. So another author we'll make up is Woods, James, and then Gooden, Trent. Okay, we'll click go. It should insert into there. It says it did. We're going to click browse just to make sure they're there. Okay, so now we have 4 authors. Okay, let's put in some books really quickly here. I'm going to insert some books. See, and you can do this just this fast with the MySQL web interface. Okay, the first title of the first book, actually we can get that from our little example here. So the example is Bubba's Library of Bubbaville. Okay, actually these won't be correct. Some of these will be correct. Fishing with Dogs. Alright, that'll be the first title there. Fishing with Dogs. Book author ID. We're going to fill that in a second here. Okay. Pub date we'll say is 1976. Okay, the second book. What's the second book called? The second book is called How to Fish with Baloney. So let's say that the pub date was let's do something. Okay, so I'm scrolling through here, but I don't have to do this. Notice that it's doing date as year, month, and no. Yes. It's doing date as year, month, and day. So we can actually go in here and say 1976. We can say January the 15th of 1976. Okay. So it gives you a little calendar, but you don't have to use it if you can kind of get that in your head. We'll fill in book author ID in a second. Let's go ahead and put in the pub date of 1999-12-13. Okay, so we'll go ahead and click go. Let's insert two more books here. 101 things you can do with spam. Okay, we'll say 1980-5-05-01. I'm just making up information here. It doesn't really have to be accurate. And whoops. This other book here, and we'll say this one came out in 2000-07-01. Okay, So we'll click go, and it should have inserted those. Let's do a quick browse. Okay, so what I've got so far is I've got 4 books, and I have 4 authors as well. Okay, so let's do this really quickly. Let's say that Andy Bobo wrote Fishing with Dogs. Okay, so how are we going to go in and set that? That seems kind of tough to do, right? So author ID 2 wrote the fishing book, which is Fishing with Dogs. Okay, so Fishing with Dogs goes with author ID 2. So let's go to the books table, and in the browse mode here I can actually click on this row and I can edit it. Alright, and now I can go in and add in the author ID that goes with that. That's pretty cool, huh? So now we've got the author ID linked up with this fishing book. Okay, how to fish with baloney. Let's look through our author list and find an author that wrote that book. Let's say that Trent Gooden wrote that book, so that'd be author ID 4. So we go back to the books table, and we find the second book here. We're going to edit this one, and we're going to add in author ID number 4 here. Click go. Alright, now that one's done. We have 2 books with 2 authors. This 101 things you can do with spam. Let's go to our author table and see who wrote that one. Who wrote the spam book? Well, I think that was James Harold. Alright, so let's go back to that. So he's ID 1. We'll go back to the books table, and we will find this one. We'll click edit, and we're going to put in a 1 here and click go. Okay, so we've got 2, 4, 1, and just for kicks we'll pretend that if we go back to the author table, the third author, James Woods, we're going to pretend that he wrote How to Train Your Cat to Play the Fiddle. And so we'll click edit, and we will say that author number 3 wrote this book. So we'll click go, and now all of our books have author IDs associated with them. Okay?